Don't you just hate it when you order an expensive item online and it doesn't arrive? Either it's misdelivered, delivered to the wrong place, or it's delivered and then stolen off the doorstep by whoever's delivered it, or you've received something which is not the thing you ordered. Like once I received a box of cardboard boxes, roughly the same weight as my Rodecaster Pro 2 over here. Not £600 worth of cardboard boxes, just enough to mimic the weight. Now, there's a number of different things that you'll need to do in this situation, one of which is use our app Proofify, which I'll link in the description below because that allows you to store the evidence of such things. Now, you might think this a little bit pedantic, but when I receive something expensive, I film the opening of said item so that I can prove to a court, if necessary, whether it is in fact the thing that I've ordered, and if not, then I can take the evidence to court. Now, I store this on Proofify so that if ever I need to build a case and go to court, that's exactly what I'll do. And that's exactly what I did, not the going to court part, it didn't get that far, but that's what I did with the Rodecaster Pro 2, which is fantastic, by the way. I'll link that in the description as well. Together with the Shure SM7B, that's where the sound comes from, apart from today's voice, which is a result of a cold. But that's what I did with this. I filmed the opening of it, and I contacted Amazon and said, you've sent me a box of cardboard boxes. This is not right. Can you please send me what I ordered? And they said, no problem at all. Obviously, I told them I got evidence of opening the thing and it was not what I ordered. And they said, no problem at all. Just send it back, the cardboard boxes back, and we'll send you the replacement. So the next day, the Rodecaster Pro 2 came out, and that was that. But not everybody is so fortunate, and a lot of people do have a problem with this. In other words, they either don't receive it, it's stolen off the doorstep, or they receive something which is not what they ordered, and they need to resolve it. So there are a couple of problems here, because if you use a third-party marketplace seller on Amazon, you can't really rely on Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act to make a claim against the credit card company, because the Amazon marketplace is an intermediary marketplace, and that's not what Section 75 is designed for. But Amazon does have an A to Z guarantee. I think it's within 90 days. Correct me for the comments if I'm wrong. But they have a claim process whereby they will take the claim against the seller on your behalf to guarantee that you receive what you're supposed to. But in some cases, like I've read on X this morning, this doesn't always work. You do sometimes get the situation where Amazon says, no, we've delivered what you're supposed to have. And there's a little bit of back and forth because obviously they don't want to admit that you didn't receive it. This is not, by the way, for legal reasons, a statement of fact that Amazon has knowingly delivered the wrong thing or not delivered it at all. These are just stories that I've read online. But in that situation, the ultimate resolution would have to be through a court. Now, if you're a consumer, and assuming you're watching in England and Wales, the Consumer Rights Act applies. In other jurisdictions, your local acts will apply. Those are acts of law. Watch the comment section go crazy. The Consumer Rights Act, Section 29, deals with the passing of risk. The risk being the risk of loss, the risk of damage, etc. The passing of risk for consumer items in England and Wales is indicated in the Consumer Rights Act to be treated as including a term whereby the goods remain at the trader's risk until they come into the physical possession of the consumer, or a person identified by the consumer to take possession of the goods. So if they deliver it to the doorstep and it's stolen from the doorstep, that is not really the physical possession of the consumer, unless potentially the consumer has designated a safe place and accepts responsibility. A court is unlikely to take a blanket statement by the consumer that that is a safe place, because a court would likely say, well, if it's a high-risk, high-value item, then the seller, i.e. Amazon or the marketplace, or Amazon on behalf of the marketplace, or whoever is selling it to you, should take a necessary analysis of where they leave that thing. And so if it's expensive, in my view, they shouldn't just leave it in a default safe place because it's an expensive item. And so until they come into the physical possession of you, the consumer, they remain at the risk of the trader. And so if this went to court, unless they can prove that they've come into your physical possession, then you're likely to win that case because the risk has not yet passed. And so I can't really imagine cases, or many cases like that, going to court, because there should be a degree of analysis and investigation before you ultimately go to court. or Amazon or whoever it is lets it go to court. They would do that investigation first and follow the trail through to see what's happened to the item. But that is what ultimately you would have to do. If you get to the end of your back and forth with whichever company it is, I'm not just picking on Amazon, it was an example. In my case, it's always been good with Amazon. I've never had a problem that has not been resolved with Amazon unusually swiftly, the Rodecaster Pro 2 included. But I do know that some companies just say, no, we've delivered it, that's it, your problem. But that's not the case. It's never as simple as that. And so if the risk has not passed, you can take them to court, and that's ultimately what you might have to do. Remember to send them a letter beforehand, warning them that you're going to take them to court, minimum 14 days to comply with the practice direction on pre-action protocol. Tell them what your complaint is, what you've ordered, when you ordered it, what it's worth, what's happened, why you want the money back, etc. And then if they don't respond to that, ultimately you might have to take them to court. And then it is a question of fact as to whether or not it had come into your physical possession. Physical possession does not necessarily mean in your hands. I've not researched this point. This is why legal advice becomes expensive. But there might be a case that says physical possession is physically in your hands. I would take that, unless I find a case to the contrary, I would take that to physical possession could be physically on your premises if you've designated a safe place for it to be. But as I say, everything is fact specific, and I would not expect a court to accept that to be the fact if it's an expensive item, like a phone, a laptop, an iPad, or whatever. So I hope that's of some use. If all else fails, you'll have to go to court. If it's on Amazon, I, for one, only buy it if it is Amazon that's selling it and not a third-party seller, particularly if it's expensive, because I want to avoid all these problems. Amazon is always good at resolving these problems. There aren't many problems, but they've always been good when I've had those problems. I hope that's useful. Please do bop the like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.